Hello students, welcome back. Today we are going to discuss few concepts from principles of inheritance and variation. The next concept is genetic disorders. There are number of disorders caused by genetic abnormalities. The genetic disorders may be due to incompatibility of gene products. So incompatibility, that means it is a wrong due to a mismatch of gene products, due to defective recessive gene inherited from the parents. Defective recessive gene is inherited to the parent from the parents. Due to defective dominant genes inherited from the parents, due to chromosomal disorders are the main reasons to cause these genetic disorders. So the genetic disorders due to incompatibility of gene product. This incompatibility term you are already studied in second chapter. Incompatible pollen grain, compatible pollen grain. So that means a correct pollen grain if it is fall on the stigma. Incompatible, mismatched pollen grain or wrong one. So due to incompatibility of gene products. So mismatched gene products and genetic disorders due to defective recessive genes received from the parents, inherited, transferred from parents to the children, due to defective dominant genes inherited from the parents, and due to chromosomal disorders. The genetic disorders may be grouped into two categories. They are Mendelian disorders and second one chromosomal disorders. Let's see the hierarchy of these genetic disorders. So genetic disorders are two types. One, it is Mendelian disorders, and second one chromosomal disorders. Now these Mendelian disorders are again two categories, that is recessively inherited diseases or dominantly inherited diseases. Recessively, so this recessively inherited diseases again two categories, that is one is autosomal recessively inherited diseases and autosomal, that means sex linked recessive diseases. So recessively inherited disease, that autosomal recessive or maybe X sex linked recessive or X linked recessive diseases, and dominantly inherited diseases always autosomal only. So under dominantly inherited diseases, we can observe only autosomes shows that. We cannot say that sex linked. We cannot observe in the dominantly inherited diseases, because already we know the definition of this sex linked or maybe X linked. So X linked, it is always present in the X chromosome. It is a sex-linked genes are also control the somatic characters. The genes which control the somatic characters are present on the X chromosomes. Such genes are called as sex-linked or X-linked genes. The definition already we studied. So that we cannot observe in the dominantly inherited diseases, only one type, that is autosomal. Now let's come to the second type of genetic disorder, that is chromosomal disorders. So these chromosomal disorders are only two categories: autosomal and sex linked. Chromosomal disorders, autosomal disorders. That means the disorders occurs due to change in the autosomal chromosomes. There are 22 pairs of autosomal chromosomes. In this, any change or abnormalities occurs that we will consider as the autosomal disorders, chromosomal disorders. Now, sex linked, that means there is only one pair of sex linked chromosomes are present. That means the in that particularly in X chromosomes, is there any abnormality that leads to cause this sex linked disorders? Let's start Mendelian disorders. Mendelian disorders are mainly determined by alternation or mutation in a single gene. The disorders follow Mendel's law of inheritance and are transmitted to the offspring. Their pattern can be traced by pedigree analysis. The Mendelian disorders may be due to the presence of a recessive or a dominant gene on autosomes, or linked to sex chromosome, that is X chromosome or X linked inheritance. So it is clear why the sum of the genetic disorders are called as Mendelian disorders, because the genetic disorders which follow Mendel's law of inheritance. Such diseases are called as the Mendelian disorders. So it is clear, I think. So genetic disorders we are classified into two. That is, one is Mendelian disorders and another one is chromosomal disorders. Why some of the genetic disorders are called as Mendelian disorders? Because these genetic disorders follow the rules of Mendel's laws of inheritance. That's why these genetic disorders are called as Mendelian disorders. Now, they occur mainly due to the alteration or maybe mutation of the single gene. The Mendel disorders, Mendelian disorders, genetic disorders occur due to the mutation in a single gene or maybe alteration in a single gene. And these genetic disorders are Mendelian genetic disorders are studied or traced by this pedigree analysis. Already we discussed this in previous video. Now, so these Mendelian disorders may be due to presence of, that means the alternation gene or mutated gene presence of a recessive or maybe dominant gene on autosomes and linked sex chromosomes. The gene presents on link to the sex chromosome, that is linked to X chromosome. Now let's come to the examples. So the examples for these Mendelian disorders, that is color blindness, hemophilia, or the linked to X chromosome. That means these two diseases are transferred to the X chromosome. So these are the sex linked disorders. Now, phenylketonuria, sickle cell anemia, cystic fibrosis, thalassemia are the autosomal disorders of Mendelian genetic disorders. These are all color blindness, hemophilia, phenylketonuria, sickle cell anemia, cystic fibrosis, and thalassemia. These are all Mendelian disorders, and these diseases or follow Mendel's laws of inheritance transmitted to their offspring. So let's discuss some of the Mendelian genetic disorders of autosomes. So in that, the first one, phenylketonuria. Phenylketonuria is an inborn disorder which is due to lack of an enzyme, phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme. Phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme that is necessary to convert amino acid, that is phenylalanine is a amino acid into tyrosine. So this enzyme, phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, is required to convert phenylalanine into tyrosine. So during this phenylketonuria, this phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme is absent, lack of. And here inborn disorder is nothing but by birth. So it is an inborn by birth. This disorder is present. Inborn disorder which is due to lack of, that means absence of, an enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. This enzyme is required or necessary to convert amino acid phenylalanine into tyrosine. So let's see that representation. So phenylalanine, in presence of this enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, it converts into the tyrosine, and this tyrosine finally converts into the melanin. Now in the absence of that, so phenylalanine, in the absence of that, the phenylalanine is not converted into tyrosine. That is number one. The phenylalanine cannot converts into tyrosine, and this phenylalanine, in the absence of this phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, it form as another byproduct, that is phenyl pyruvic acid. In the absence of that, then what will happen? The people affected with the phenylketonuria have an abnormal gene in the homozygous recessive condition. We are all know that homozygous, that gene, both the genes are same, homozygous condition only. The people are affected with this phenylketonuria because already we said it is a recessive. The recessive character is always expressed in homozygous condition. The affected people have heterozygous parents which are carriers of the gene, but activity of enzyme is less than normal in the heterozygous individuals or maybe parents. So how the offspring will get this phenylketonuria? The offsprings get this phenylketonuria due to both the parents or heterozygous, that means carriers. For example, phenylketonuria, we can represent that P. Okay, so now what we are saying, it is a autosomal. That means there is no change in the sex chromosomes. XX is represent only sex. So autosomes, we are already mentioned that capital A are the autosomes. So this is the normal condition, capital A. So now what phenylketonuria heterozygous. So one of these autosome having that defect. So this is heterozygous condition. One autosomal chromosome is normal, another one with the defective gene of this phenylketonuria. And another parent is also having same situation. Capital A, it is normal autosome, and autosome with the defective gene, and the sex chromosome is normal. So when the parents are this condition, so autosomes here it is heterozygous condition. So the affected people have heterozygous parents. So this is the condition, heterozygous parent condition. So then what happens? The children will get that a recessive combination. So here we know that how the gametes are. One gamete is, see here, mother having, say, here XX. So autosome chromosome A X, one gamete, autosomal defective autosomal chromosome, and another X. Two types of gametes are formed in the female. And when come to the male, so autosomal normal AX, normal AY, and defective autosome chromosome and X, and defective autosome chromosome and Y. This is the gamete. Four types of gametes are formed in the male. So now when the X here and this X is fused, then recessive condition. So follow this. When this gamete, the X chromosome with the defective autosome, and here X chromosome with the defective chromosome are crossed, then what happens? A with the defective gene, A with the defective gene, and female XX. This is the condition. What we said? So homozygous condition, affected people with this phenylketonuria, that is homozygous recessive. This is the homozygous. So phenylketonuria is autosomal recessive. That means the every recessive disease, they should be in homozygous condition. Then the disease is expressed. Otherwise, if it is present like this in heterozygous condition, it is not affected, but these parents are acts as a carriers of that phenylketonuria disease. I think you are understand properly. Now come to the next point. Due to lack of enzyme, phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, not only the amount of phenylalanine increases, the amount of alternate byproduct phenylpyruvic acid also increase in the blood. So what we said in previous slide, phenylalanine converts into tyrosine in the presence of enzyme. In the absence of that, this phenylalanine and also this phenylalanine converts into phenylpyruvic acid in the absence of that enzyme. These both the compounds are accumulated in the blood, and these compounds are excreted through the urine. Hence, this disease is named as phenylketonuria. The symptoms of phenylketonuria disease: high amount of phenylalanine in the blood affects the development of brain damage, and it leads to the mental retardation. Now, this enzyme, that means phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, helpful to convert phenylalanine into tyrosine. And this tyrosine finally converted into melanin, that we studied in this phenylketonuria. Now, decreased availability of tyrosine. When the enzyme is absent, the tyrosine does not form. So, the decreased availability of tyrosine leads to reduced the melanin formation. Hence, the melanin, due to lack of the melanin, the coloration of hair and skin is reduces. This is also another effect. So one is by the accumulation of this phenylalanine and phenylpyruvic acid, it leads to the mental retardation, brain damage and mental retardation. And another one, due to the decrease in the availability of tyrosine, it indirectly affects the reduction in the melanin formation. When melanin formation is reduced, then it reduces the coloration of hair as well as skin. Another disease, sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia is an autosomal recessive disease. Autosomal recessive disease. It is lethal, that means deathful in the homozygous recessive condition. It follows, sickle cell anemia follows a Mendelian pattern and is transmitted from parents to offsprings when both the parents are heterozygous, that is carriers of this gene. The disease is controlled by gene having allele HBA, it is a normal, and HBS, it is a mutant gene. These genes are located, HBA normal genes are located on the 11th chromosome. So now here remember this point again. It follows the Mendelian pattern or Mendelian laws of inheritance. So this disease is transmitted from the parents to the offsprings when both the parents are heterozygous. Already we are given this gene allele. Suppose HB A, HB A, it is the normal condition, is normal. So diploid cell having two sets, no? So that's why this is the normal. And HbA, HbS, S is represent the sickle cell anemia, is the heterozygous, is heterozygous. Here normal, homozygous, and HbS, HbS, it is again homozygous. So this is a homozygous recessive gene. HbS is the recessive, HbA is the dominant. When both dominant and recessive are together, it is always express the dominant character. So HbS is the defective one. When both the defective genes homozygous condition is present, then it express that sickle cell anemia disorder. If it is present in heterozygous, the parents are normal. So now when the offsprings will get this disease, the offsprings are getting this disease when both the parents are in heterozygous condition. That means the parents are in this condition. We will discuss how it is transferred to the offsprings in the later slides. So already we mentioned that genotypes in the previous slide. There are three possible genotypes. They are HbA, that is normal hemoglobin, homozygous condition. HbA, HbS, heterozygous hemoglobin. And HbS and HbS, it is sickle cell hemoglobin or sickle cell red blood cell. So among these three genotypes, only homozygous recessive individuals, only homozygous recessive individuals, that is HbS shows this sickle cell anemia. Now let's come to the next point. HbA, HbS individuals, they are considered as heterozygous individuals. So these heterozygous individuals are appear as unaffected, but the heterozygous individuals are carriers of this disease because of presence of defective gene. Now, as there is a 50% probability of transmission of the mutant gene, that is a defective gene, to the progeny. So these heterozygous individuals are having 50% of probability, because out of these two genes, one gene is defective, another one is normal. That's why 50% of that defective gene transmitted to their progeny. Heterozygous individuals show mild anemia, that means very less anemia, as they have normal and abnormal hemoglobin, and some of the cells are sickle shaped, but these individuals are highly resistant to the malaria. Remember it. Heterozygous individuals, in their body, some of the red blood cells, RBC, red blood cells, are in sickle shapes, only some few cells. Due to presence of that sickle shaped red blood cells, the plasmodium, malaria causing organism, cannot survive. So that's why the heterozygous individuals of this sickle cell anemia, it is a very important bit in the objective point of view. The heterozygous individuals of sickle cell anemia are highly resistant to the malaria disease because of presence of some of the sickle shaped red blood cells. HbS, that means homozygous individuals, suffer from this sickle cell anemia. They die early in life due to severe anemia caused by premature destruction of sickle cell red blood cells. So, with before maturity only, the sickle cell red blood cells are destroyed. As a result, they will suffer with severe anemia and it leads to the early death. Let let's see. Normal hemoglobin is made of four polypeptide chains. So peptide, it is a bond present between two amino acids. Suppose amino acid, we are saying that A amino acid is joined with another amino acid. So this bond we will call as peptide bond. So polypeptide chains, that means a number of amino acids are joined like this in a chain manner. So more than polypeptide bonds form as a amino acid chain. So polypeptide chain leads to the formation of amino acid chains. These polypeptide chains are the part of proteins present in the proteins. So normal hemoglobin is made up of four polypeptide chains. That four polypeptide chains are four. Two polypeptide chains are alpha chains. Two alpha chains. Each alpha chain is made up of 141 amino acid long. So there are four polypeptide chains. In that, two polypeptide chains are alpha chains, and this each alpha chain is 141 amino acid long. That is polypeptide chain we told, no. So in that chain, total 141 amino acids are present to form that polypeptide chain, and the remaining two chains are the beta chains. So out of four polypeptide chains, two are the alpha chain and remaining two are the beta chains. So each beta chain is of 146 amino acid long. That means in a polypeptide chain of beta chain consists 146 amino acids. Now the sickle cell anemia develops due to defect in beta chain. So in alpha and beta, two chains are present. In the two chains, the sickle cell anemia is developed due to the defect in the beta chain. So for that we discussed about that polypeptide chains in the hemoglobin. This is one point in the objective again. So the sickle cell anemia disorder develops due to defect in beta chain. In normal hemoglobin, that is HbA, there is a glutamic acid at sixth position of beta chain. So glutamic acid is the name of amino acid. What we are saying, this beta chromosome, that means beta chain, the beta chain having 146 chromosomes in a polypeptide. That means 1 bond with 2, 3 bond with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. Total 146 amino acids are present in a chain. So now in normal hemoglobin, there is a glutamic acid, amino acid name, that is glutamic acid, at sixth position. This sixth position is represent with a glutamic acid. Glutamic acid. And this glutamic acid coded by a code. on the DNA, that is CTC. And this CTC is coded as GAG. This concept we can discuss in the molecular biology in the 6th chapter. So if I started to explain this, it is taken another 1 hour here itself. So that's why. So remember that this glutamic acid on DNA sequence, it represented as CTC. When it copied onto the mRNA, messenger RNA, it is coded as GAG. So GAG code on mRNA, and CTC, it is a code on DNA. Due to point mutation or gene mutation, the codon changes from CTC. So it is a sequence on the DNA. CTC is changes to CAC on DNA. So this change we can observe on DNA. CAC, which produces GUG instead of GAG. It produces GUG codon in mRNA. So this GUG codon, it codes for amino acid. It is a valine. It codes for a valine amino acid. So previously, what is there? Glutamic acid is there at 6th position. Due to this change, that 6th position, glutamic acid is changes as a valine. So point mutation at particular gene sequence. What is that? On 6th position in normal HbA, the 6th position consists glutamic acid. But due to change in that, due to that point mutation, that 6th position is a change as a valine amino acid. Due to change of this glutamic acid into valine amino acid, the red blood cells, the shape normally biconcave disc shape become sickle shaped due to change of this glutamic acid into valine on this 6th position. Then the red blood cell become sickle shape. Now let's see the effects of this sickle cell anemia. Because of this sickle shape of the red blood cells, the cells are clot together or blocked together in the smallest blood cells. The blood become more viscous, sticky, and when blood become more viscous, then it slowing of blood flow and lost its ability to carry sufficient amount of oxygen, leading to the severe anemia. So let's see this diagram. So all these red blood cells are disc shaped and these are normal, having HbA, normal hemoglobin. That's why the red blood cells are in normal shape, disc shaped. So now this HbA, due to change of that glutamic acid, is replaced with valine on the 6th position of that polypeptide chain. So then what happens? The red blood cells, the hemoglobin is converted into change its shape, that results as a sickle shaped cells. So red blood cells become sickle shaped. That means this sickle shaped gene, it is represented with HbS. So this sickle shaped cells are having these genes in homozygous condition. So now this is the exact representation of this sickle cell anemia. So already we given that this normal gene, that is a CTC, it is present on the DNA sequence, and this is transcription. During transcription, that means transcription is nothing but a copying of a DNA sequence onto the mRNA. So when it is copied onto the mRNA, you may have doubt why it need to copy on mRNA, because DNA is present in the nucleus, but this polypeptide chain formation takes place in ribosomes in cytoplasm. So DNA have the information about that arrangement of these amino acids. That information brings to the ribosomes by this mRNA. So that's why the coding present on this DNA is copied onto the mRNA. So that CTC is copied as GAG, and that GAG represent glutamic. GLU means glutamic acid on this sixth position. That is normal hemoglobin peptide chain. So in normal hemoglobin peptide chain, sixth position consists glutamic acid. Now, due to point mutation, due to point mutation or gene mutation, the gene sequence, that CTC, is changes as a CAC on the gene sequence. Then this CAC is copied as GUG, copied as GUG on mRNA, and this GUG represents, this code represents valine. So when it is a glutamic acid, it is normal. So but on this sixth position, this GUG code as a valine, that glutamic acid is changes, mutated as valine. When it changes into valine, then the hemoglobin structure, amino acid polypeptide chain, will be changed the order. As a result, the red blood cell shape become elongated and a sickle shape. So when it becomes sickle shaped, it is very difficult to flow, and it is not carry sufficient amount of oxygen. So this is the representation of this the entire sickle cell anemia. Now let's come to discuss about that. This is sickle cell anemia. It follows the Mandel's law of inheritance. Let's see that how it is. So see, here we are mentioning heterozygous parents transfers that defective gene to the offspring. That statement already we are studied. So here the heterozygous parents are considered as carriers. So mother, carrier woman, nothing but mother, carrier. So that means one is normal and another gene is defective with sickle cell anemia. And similarly carrier man, that means carrier father. So that is normal hemoglobin, and another gene is the defective. So now the gametes, that is ova gametes. So one gamete with normal hemoglobin and another gamete with defective. And similarly the carrier father also having sperms with normal hemoglobin gene and with sickle cell anemic gene. So now this we are represent with the Punnett square offsprings. So when the normal ovum and normal sperm will fuse, it forms the homozygous normal individual. And when this normal ovum fuses with a defective sperm, that means HBS sperm, then it gives one is normal, another one is defective. That means it become carrier offspring or progeny. And here it is also carrier progeny. And then fourth individual, that is HBS and HBS. These two are fused when ovum with this defective gene and sperm with this defective gene are fused, then it form the homozygous HBS and HBS. This homozygous condition expresses the character of sickle cell anemia. So usually dies in childhood. Already we are studied that defective. That means when the sickle cell, the red blood cells are become sickle shaped, they block and they lost the ability to carry the sufficient amount of oxygen, and that leads to the early death in the childhood stage itself. The next disorder, that is cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis is an autosomal recessive disease. It is also a autosomal recessive. It causes due to mutation in a gene on 7th chromosome. Mutation in a gene, that gene is present on the 7th chromosome. The gene present on 7th chromosome codes for a protein called cystic fibrosis transmembrane regulator, CFTR, cystic fibrosis transmembrane regulator. It is a protein. So the gene codes for this protein, CFTR protein. So mutations in CFTR gene causes the CFTR protein to become dysfunctional. The mutation, the point mutation or gene mutation occurred in this gene, CFTR gene, is leads to the dysfunctional of this CFTR protein. So what is the function of this CFTR protein? The CFTR protein allows diffusion of chloride ions into and out of the epithelial cells. So from these epithelial cells, entering chloride ions into the cell and come out from the cell, it is regulated by the CFTR protein. When the CFTR protein is dysfunctional, it's unable to help to move these chloride ions into and out of these epithelial cells. Then what will happen? So when this CFTR protein is dysfunctional, the chloride ions are not moving in and out of these epithelial cells. Without that chloride ions, the chloride to attract water to the cell surface, the mucus is in various organs become thick and sticky. So the attraction of this water takes place onto the surface. As a result, it forms the mucus on the various organs. So that mucus become thick and sticky on that organs. So if that thickness and stickiness of mucus is formed in various organs, if it is formed in the lungs, the mucus blocks the airways and trap the germs like bacteria and leading to the infections and respiratory failure and other complications in the lungs. If that mucus is formed in pancreas, it blocks the release of digestive enzymes. it resulting in the malnutrition, because the digestive enzyme does not break the nutrient substances, and that malnutrition leads to the poor growth. If the thick mucus is present in the liver, it blocks the bile duct, then it causes the liver disease. And in men, this cystic fibrosis affects their ability to have children, that is, infertility, causes infertility in men. So remember, the chloride ions movement is affected during cystic fibrosis disorder. So when these chlorides are absent, so water is attracted onto the cell surface that forms the mucus. When that mucus is deposited more on these cells, these are the results. In lungs, it blocks the air pathways and it facilitates the growth of bacteria and it leads to the infections. In pancreas, it blocks the release of digestive enzymes, and in liver, it blocks the bile duct, causing liver diseases. In man, this cystic fibrosis, they may block the vas deferens or maybe uh, male reproductive accessory ducts. As a result, it leads to the infertility in the man. Thank you, students. Please practice regularly, because already I informed that the genetics topic is always a puzzle. So puzzles always we need to practice regularly. Otherwise, it is always a puzzle. So please try to understand and practice regularly. Don't miss the videos. These concepts are very important in the examination point of view. In PU board, the weightage is 10 marks, and in competitive examination, this chapter weightage is 4 to 5 bits. 4 into 4, 16 marks to 20 marks. Please practice regularly.